Okay, should be now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Not Content Podcast. My name is Jerome Cuson, and I'm joined, as always, by my good colleague Brian. And we are continuing our YouTube exclusives. This week, we are going to be discussing X-Men '97, Season 2, Episodes 7, 8, and 9. A lot going on here at the end of the season, Brian, and I think what we have seen with this season, this is what happens when you fire the executive producer, and you wanted to go in another creative direction. A lot of people have been pointing out some of the onslaught teases, and in the end, there's not going to be an onslaught. I can't say I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I kind of like the direction they seem to be heading in. We'll talk about that with the post-credit scene. But Brian, what were your thoughts on kind of the overall season itself?
Started out real hot, real hot, and then kind of cooled down a little bit in the middle. Got hot again towards episode 8, and then episode 9 had me really confused at the end. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I guess we start with episode 8. It's back to the Savage Land.
Episode 7.
7, excuse me. Episode 7, back in the Savage Land. You know, it's familiar territory. Colossus is back. He talks about his dead sister, which, you know, he gets the sympathy rub. But then he's aligned with the bad guys. So it's like, dude, what are you doing? And then he does
that is in the comics. That is in the comics.
Yes, but he does the babyface turn, and there's a fake trial with Creed.
Another Star Trek reference, I feel like.
I mean, God, how many trials were in Star Trek that I can think? At least 5 or 6.
I mean, that's a trope of Star Trek. There has been one. There have been multiple trials.
One trial per season, especially on TNG.
The next generation definitely loved their trials.
Yes, because their ethics were always compromised, and that's kind of what's going on here because they want to kill him. He's a presidential nominee now, but he's Sabretooth's kid. He's resentful. Maybe he does have powers, and he just doesn't want to reveal it because that's always been a theory of mine.
No, I don't. I mean, maybe in the comics, but I don't think.
But it doesn't fit the character because you want that to be a pure blood human and have that resentment, and yeah, that adds to it. So. The interesting thing is like a lot of the mutants agree to kill him, and then of course the X-Men are like, no. And then I think X-Force or whatever, they're trying to stop it as well, or something like that, or they find out about it, or I forget, but like it becomes
they're trying to find out about it.
And there's this trial thing going on, and they're trying to like find him, and then they finally have to use the faith of Nightcrawler to convince them to, or at least convince some of them to, and then their leader.
Very good Nightcrawler episode. I think Nightcrawler had a really strong few episodes, and a really unfortunate ending in episode 9, which we'll get to. But Creed does murder one of the acolytes and proves to be a real asshole. And the Nightcrawler teleports him right in the middle of the cold. But spoiler alert: Creed survives, and at the end of the season is the president of the United States. So there will be a lot to play off of.
Oh my goodness! 3. Yep. When real life comes into play, doesn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, so that's the end of the episode, and I guess Colossus probably should have joined the team again, but they didn't really do that.
He did. No, the idea is that in episode 8, if you remember, he was babysitting the kids like he was in X2.
I don't remember him in the big fighting finale.
He wasn't. He really wasn't. And again, I'm sure this is
because you would think they would have done the throw with the Wolverine, right? Like him throwing.
I'm sure we will get it next season. I think part of the issue is, again, you've got this Voltron creative direction, so perhaps that's why Colossus was not involved. But he was definitely mentioned in episode 8 as staying behind to watch the kids, and he was painting him and his sister together in that kind of montage at the end of episode 9.
Right, and then we get the big revelation at the end that Apocalypse's physical body's dead. How that happened, I don't know. They didn't
because he transferred from his body to Gambit's. Come on, man.
Yeah, but then shouldn't that? So wait, his body is just like
Brian. It's a great visual.
I get it, but like, I don't know. Shouldn't his body still be alive too, or I don't know.
I mean, if he transfers his entire being,
does that mean that like the only thing that's keeping him alive is like that amulet thing, and that the physical body's really like dust at this point?
I mean, they haven't been explained it, and I think that is part of the issue with the season is that.
Yeah, that's because I was like, should his body still be alive? I don't know. At least in good condition.
See, I read people say that the episode should be longer, and I think that's incorrect. I think there need to be more episodes. I think more episodes at a pacing of 22 to 24 minutes is better than 40 to 45 minutes episodes. See Ted Lasso for why.
Well, I haven't watched the latest season yet, but they are making season 4, so I guess I got to
The
catch up on
season
that.
4 is starting to come out, and I will not be watching because that show is dead to me. Anyway, speaking of
Oh
dead,
no. Okay.
let's
But
talk about the
yes,
Dead Man's the season 7 or episode 7. I liked it. I was kind of at a 7, 7.5. I don't think it was the
kind
strongest.
of a mixed bag. 6.5, 7. Just it was
Yeah,
more for to show you the faith that Nightcrawler still has, which is insane.
I mean that is important. It is important, and
It ties to the finale. It ties to the finale. So
it does have a good payoff. I will say that.
yeah.
Episode 8, just like in Star Trek, the X Men are playing poker. So again, clearly a lot of TNG fans on the staff, or they're accidentally making these references. I just don't see. We get aces and eights reference, Brian, and I'm just glad that we did not see Luke Gallows or D'Lo Brown or Bubba Dudley in this episode.
Just be glad that Dark Side of the Ring debuted like a month ago at this point, because if they chose this month, then it would have been awesome timing for that reference. But
Would have.
yeah,
For those who don't know, there was a group in TNA wrestling called the Aces and Eights, and they may be the worst faction ever created. And that is because TNA was running out of money, and the big reveals were like people that were already either officials or already in the company or were cheap.
or Wes Briscoe. So
Or
um,
West Briscoe does not
or Eric
necessarily
Bischoff's
fall.
son. I forget his name.
Garrett Bischoff, how dare
Good
you
lord.
forget Garrett Bischoff's name? Yeah,
Okay, well, he ain't no Eric
it
Watts.
was real bad times, and somehow TNA is still with
And
us
somehow
today.
Eric Watts wasn't even in it. So, like missed opportunity there. But we digress. This was a
We get
fun
to see
opening.
a very powerful Gambit too. Like Gambit is back, and
Yes.
he has united the thieves.
Well, he
Um,
didn't really unite him. He just sent out invitations, and of course, they just assumed that they invited each other. And of course, whenever like happens in like a murder mystery, something goes down, and they all got murdered. Well, they didn't all get murdered. I thought they all got murdered, but it really, like, I guess he just took over their minds. At first, it looked like he murdered all of them. So I was like, "Damn, he just killed
but
his
he
own
just
sister."
and his brother. Can't forget his brother too.
Right, right. But technically, he just kind of took over their brains. But still, like creepy stuff, and then you don't know what's
And then
going
you get
on.
another plane destroyed, which I'm going to talk about at the in season 9. I'm going to put a pin in that. And this is where you get at first it's just like Cyclops, Jean, Beast, Nightcrawler, Rogue, and then the ones who are at the mansion, which include Wolverine, Storm, and Morph. They join the fight, and it's basically all of the X Men. And there's a point when they like do a big wide shot of all the X Men, and I don't know if they were going for like the end game shot, but like
They were
it
going
is
for it.
incredible. It
They were
was
going for
incredible
it.
to see like all those X Men, because like when you think about the X Men from the animated series, like it was a big team, but now you've got all of these additions with Nightcrawler and Bishop and Forge. I mean, it was really cool.
It was really cool, but to be honest, it's kind of weird that they outnumber the bad guys in that situation. You would think that it's them going into in the opposite situation where
But they're
there's so
fighting
many bad guys.
but I mean, you
But
say
I
that, but
get it because
they
the
are fighting
powerful,
Apocalypse.
because one of them is Apocalypse, aka Gambit Apocalypse, and the other six are his disciples. But still, I was like, man, they kind of outnumber. I would think they're going to clear house, and they didn't really clear house at first. They had to like divide and conquer, but they divided and conquer and got most of them down. But yeah, it was a cool visual. Wolverine got some words in, and I was like, oh man, that dude's old, but I still love to hear that voice, even though the voice actors kind of aged apart already. But still, credit to him for
I mean,
like
Wolverine's
still
old, so
going.
it doesn't really bother me. It
So,
doesn't
but
bother
it
me.
adds to it now, you know what I mean? So it adds depth to the character, so it kind of adds to it. But I was like, man, this dude is still sticking with it after all like 40 years or whatever now. But yeah, and just a great visual shot, and then of course the twist, not twist ending, but like kind of
So
confusing
basically, what
first ending.
happens is we go into Gambit slash Apocalypse's mind, and at first Xavier is the one that is trying to kind of separate the two of them and get and save Gambit, but Xavier is unsuccessful as he has like it's kind of a running gag at this point, especially in this run of how unsuccessful Xavier is at everything in these first 2 seasons of X Men '97. But Rogue is successful, and it's a very powerful moment. I think when Rogue pulls Gambit out, and basically Gambit ends up unconscious, and that is where kind of the episode ends. But I think it's a great moment for Rogue, and it's well deserved too, because the two of them have kind of been like the linchpin love story of this entire run, especially now that the end of the episode nine, at the end of episode nine. How do you think Gambit feels when Rogue says that Magneto is dead?
Well, he's probably happy about that on the inside, but him learning that it took place in the past is probably going to ask a lot of questions or bring up a lot of questions as well. But
We're gonna have to get the chalkboard
right.
out.
And so the thing is like his body turns from like purple apocalypse color to normal color, so everyone thinks everything's okay now. But they know that he's still inside his head, so that got me thinking like, okay, this was an awesome, powerful moment. They I don't know if they did a close up properly because like she's supposed to touch him for them to like her to get in his mind, right? I don't think they actually touched. I could have been wrong on that. Do they actually physically touch? Because I watched it like
I
twice and I was like, they're next to each other, but there's no close up. And how did she get into his head? And I was like, I guess you just touched him, and that's the only way that happened. But I guess we didn't see it. But
Well,
still, it was
if you
cool,
remember, we she does touch him, and she doesn't like absorb his powers.
right?
Um, so I don't know. Again, there's a lot
And then because
going
she had the
on.
crystal going, she had the crystal thing, and then they had this backstory where I guess we didn't officially know where that Louisiana Bayou goddess came from, and now we know. Like I
Mhm.
guess we didn't know she was connected to Apocalypse back in the day, and then it's kind of like they
Yeah,
stole it from like Pirates of the Caribbean with like Calypso and Davy Jones had that connection kind of thing. A love story gone wrong. And that's why Apocalypse is so sour on love. And are we supposed to assume that like this seed of love was planted by Rogue, and that he tried himself to find love, and that led to him? You know what I mean? Like, is that a cause and effect? That's some of
right.
the stuff that I like that they kind of went away from in this, because they kind of went away from like Cable's destiny, and Cable was like really side character in this whole thing up until like him trying to kill Gambit in the next episode. But like the ending is kind of like somber. They're on the plane and they don't know what's going to happen next. But we know Apocalypse is inside, and that got me thinking like there's still the other body. Can Apocalypse just jump back to his body? Which was what I was thinking. But then I guess the
I
body's
mean,
like destroyed now.
clearly, I mean, if you remember, one of the recent episodes ended with Apocalypse yelling at no one to turn on the power, and clearly that's what was needed. And he wasn't around a machine to be able to do that. Again, there's a lot of hand waving going on. The ending of episode 8 is when the X Force and the X Factor decide that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and they both decide to go after the X Men. X Factor obviously wanting to stop the X Men because they're rogues now, and X Force, Cable specifically, just wants to kill and wants to kill Apocalypse, and thinks he has to kill Gambit in order to do it. So we go from Bishop from the future wanting to kill Gambit to Cable from the future wanting to kill Gambit, and I think that's pretty amusing.
Um, yeah, history repeats itself, I guess, if that's what they're trying to say. Maybe it's just
And
coincidence the way it played out. But
I don't know if you realize this, but when Gambit comes back in episode 9, who is one of the first people that he saves?
saves, I
Yeah,
forget.
remember when he comes back and before he goes back to being Apocalypse again, he is there with Polaris and Bishop.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. And then yeah, the big turn in the episode. So basically, yeah, they team up. It's X versus X versus X forces. It's an X war, so to speak, right? It's just
So my theory about X Men '97 being WWF '97 has been reinforced because we have the Gang Wars.
exactly. And with the DX connection, the X connection, um, and then one of the factions becoming a trio, which is pretty much the X Force at that point because Jubilee and Sunspot left. You know what
Right,
I mean?
because they don't want to be assassins anymore, and I don't blame them.
So now
And
it's just Archangel and Psylocke and Cable as a trio, King of Trios, I guess, kind of team. Oh
yep,
man, but it's fun, you know what I mean? Because you get all these team ups, and then the big showdown at the end, and Cable kind of loses himself. Like I
he
was,
does.
I felt like
It
they
was very,
really
it was
lost the
good
character. Like why
in a
attack his
bad way.
parents? Like I don't know. Like I think attacking the parents went too far. Like,
I mean, but that's who Cable is obsessed
but I
with
think he's
killing
smart enough to
Apocalypse.
know that there's a longer play than just kill Gambit. Like it can't be that simple, right? Like he's smarter than
I
that. I
think
think.
he's tired of it. I think the thing about it is that we saw a little bit of in the original series, but I think it's really been reinforced in this one that he is obsessed with killing Apocalypse, and we understand because of what happened with Nathan in that one episode. I think they've tried to make that more clear. They probably could have done an even better job with more episodes to really build up this idea of Cable being obsessed with Apocalypse. I think that could have been reinforced more, but I certainly think that's what they were going for. And the other thing in relation to that is what was I thinking about? I think that there's just a lot. Like when I saw this episode was like 32 minutes, I was like, oh geez, that's not long enough. I really wish that this episode, despite what I said earlier, was a little bit longer because I think we needed to hash like how does Rogue get I don't want to call it Phoenix powers, but that's I don't have another term for it. Rogue basically becomes like
I
her
call it
version of the
celestial
Phoenix.
powers. Like she becomes
Okay,
one of
we'll go
the
with Celestial.
she's like one of the Eternals or something. Like I don't know
Right.
because it
Okay, that's fine. That's fair.
okay,
And
but
she
the thing
basically
is like why like the Rogue push came out of nowhere. It felt like
I don't think so. I mean, Rogue is it's
because
Rogue and
they were
Gambit.
pushing Cable and pushing. It's like I don't know, like the Lex
It's
Luger
really
push.
Rogan cables.
It's
It's
the
Rogan
Lex Luger
cables.
push for Cable, right? And she ends up becoming Brad.
But cable ultimately isn't the cable isn't an X-Men. Rogue is, and Rogue has been, I
Right,
would
but
say,
then
one of
but
the
the whole
more.
destiny of like I have to kill Apocalypse, and then what happens? Well, can you explain what happens? Because I think
I
I don't know.
mean, I want to point out that you should never skip the intro because they did one of my favorite things that they've ever done. Instead of Magneto and the other mutants um, going after the X-Men, it was X Factor and Valerie Cooper, and that
Yeah,
popped me
notice
really
that.
hard
I noticed
because
that.
they have never changed that part of the intro, and that popped me really hard.
Well, I kind of expected it because the way they set up the opening, it's like, well, it's the last episode of the season. They got to do a special intro, and I
Yeah,
was
but
like,
they
oh,
again they never changed that part except when they did the X Force.
right. I don't know. Maybe I just kind of expected it because I was like, I kind of want to see them in the intro. I think because that's it's gonna make sense, and then it just kind of happened. So maybe it was just a natural kind of assumption for me because like the way they set it up. So, I mean, I pop, but like not as maybe because you didn't expect it as more. I don't know, but
I
I
mean,
kind of
again,
expect.
they haven't changed it, so I really liked that. Again, the intro is kind of giving hints as to what the episode's going to be about. I think that's really nifty. So Rogue again saves Gambit, and Apocalypse is basically put in an object. And I mean, it's the to me, it's like the equivalent of what happens at the end of Aladdin with Jafar. Like they put Jafar in the genie, and they're just not going to touch it. And I think
Okay,
that's the
that's
idea.
where I'm a little confused at. And then she has the stone, and then instead of like throwing it back at the celestial in the thing, she goes to Cable and gives it to Cable and goes like, "You've been holding on to this for a long time, haven't you, Sugar?" And I'm like thinking like, so what is he gonna do? Like smash the rock? Are we gonna see him smash the rock? No, he just grabs the rock, and I'm like, oh no.
I don't know that you can
Oh
destroy
no,
it.
because that means Apocalypse is gonna come back again, man. So it's like,
I
ugh,
mean, you can't kill Apocalypse. I think that's the point. You can't kill him no matter what.
I don't know. Is this like the Terminator thing where you can't kill Skynet? Is that the thing? It's just
I
I
guess
don't
so.
know.
I do have a feeling that we are not going to deal with Apocalypse at all in season three. That's
They're
what
gonna
I'm
tease it. Well, because at first
maybe.
when okay, let's kind of skip ahead here. The Mystique end credit spoiler.
So I really like the fact that Valerie Cooper, because one of the things a lot of people were theorizing is that Mystique was Valerie Cooper, but we find out specifically in the post-credit scene that Valerie Cooper was not Mystique, but moving forward she will be Mystique because Mystique kills Valerie Cooper.
Right. So my thinking was that she's trying to get Apocalypse back, but
No,
maybe
I
I'm
think
wrong.
it's
I don't know.
I don't think
She
that
well,
that's true.
did she was a
Maybe
follower of Apocalypse, and then I guess she turned on him or something, as I recall. But then it
I
sounds
don't
like
know.
she
I
still
don't
was a bad guy.
necessarily know where we left that, but the way that I'm interpreting it is, it's much more in. So the context of the scene is that they are mentioning that Creed is the president now, and Mystique is kind of infiltrating in kind of a like in the Che Guevara or like the terrorist way of doing things. So I
Kind
think
of
it's
like
more
the
in
way they
response
did
to
in the
that.
movie in X-Men 2
And if
when
you
Kelly accidentally died, and
and
then
if
they
you
took over.
remember that Creed is a relation to Mystique, right?
Yeah, that's his mom. But I mean, I don't know. it's going to be interesting because, like, what is she going to try to do? Like, keep him in check. It's going to be very interesting with, current politics involved. And even though this is
I mean,
1998.
it's kind of a return to X-Men 1 in a lot
Oh,
of
right.
ways.
So again, we're in 1998 now because the presidential elections was 92, 94, or excuse me, 90, yeah, 92,
We are under Western rules where the election happened in 94 and now it's happening in 98.
right. Okay. So yes, yes, that's what I was trying to get at, like the timeline. Because I was really like, wait a minute, didn't Clinton, wasn't he president up until 2000?
It
And then
was
I,
92 and 96, but again, I think X-Men, the way the world is that presidential elections are in 94 and 98.
yeah, so there you go. So I hope they change it to X-Men 98. That'd be really cool. Um, and just call it season three. But you know what I mean? Like, it can't be X-Men 97 for 3 years, dude. Like, what are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's 1998. So that's my stance on that. Just change it and rebrand and move on and go on without Bo DeMayo because he's not there anymore. So you got to kind of rebrand anyway. So
Yeah.
excuse me. But yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
overall.
that is X-Men season 2, X-Men 97 season 2, a very up and down season. I still enjoyed the show. I really like the fact that the episodes are a half hour. Again, I think there should be more episodes, but I can't blame the creative team for that. It just feels like this season was kind of going to be a mess no matter what because of the firing of Bo DeMayo, and that they just kind of had to get through this. And now the creative team, what they do for season 3 can be judged on its own merits. And it could be bad. And if it is bad, I'll say so. But I do think that this creative team deserves the benefit of the doubt, given that season 2 was always going to kind of be a mess.
So watching these finales in back-to-back days, the Batman Cape Crusader finale and the X-Men finale, kind of got me like reflectively thinking to the 90s again and the comparative, comparison to the 90s shows of Batman and X-Men. And it just
Yeah,
made me relive some things, like some themes. Like Batman was always consistent, right? I don't think it had many clunkers in terms of episodes compared to the many clunkers that X-Men had. Like X-Men
right.
will have the greater episodes, I think, overall. It's like more emotional episodes, more nines and tens, but have more stinkers than Batman, but Batman would be more consistent overall. So I think that's what reflecting here is like
So
the episode.
basically, what you're saying is that Batman has a higher floor and a lower ceiling. X Men has a lower floor, but it has a higher ceiling.
So to speak, yes. And the more consistency, the better probably, because it made season two like not like have any stinkers for Batman Cape Crusader. And they just kind of like went, it was a lot of sevens and eights. And even though like, I would say that X-Men 97 had like 3 or 4 episodes or like nines, right? There were still like for me like fives and fours almost, you know what I mean? Like so the consistency still say goes with Batman, but the more higher end episodes you'll get will be X-Men, but you'll still get more clunkers with X-Men. So that's my stance. And I think that
I
kind of is
I
like
kind of prefer. I still prefer X Men for that. I want. I will trade in some clunkers to get the like Remember Me, and like the fact that we have episodes like Remember Me and Rise of the Apocalypse Part 2, like that is worth maybe some other episodes not being as good.
I think so too. And I think that's just kind of like the way both shows go, you know what I'm saying? Different feels obviously, but you know what I mean? Like you're gonna get one very consistent show, the other's gonna have some highs and lows, but the highs will be super high, right? But the lows will be kind of low. So that's what you're gonna kind of get. And that's kind of been the
Perhaps.
comparison I've seen in the Batman movies and X-Men movies as well. Haven't you noticed that too? It's like there's more clunkers in the X-Men than there are in the Batman, and Batman always
Yeah, but
seems
the
real
problem is
consistent.
that yeah, but the problem is you there are some clunkers with Batman.
But I would
Batman
say
and
like
Robin.
Batman and Robin is better than X-Men Origins.
I don't agree with that.
Wow. Well, it's a lower bottom scale, I guess, or different lowered bottom scale for us, but you kind of see where I'm coming from. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's very similar to the 90s in terms of that. So you're going to get different kind of feels at different times of the season, but I would say the more consistent season was Cape Crusader, but the best episodes or the better episodes were definitely in X-Men.
For sure. All right. So again, we will be releasing the Batman episodes, I'm sure, very soon, depending on Brian's schedule. So definitely check that out. We will not be doing a lot of YouTube exclusives probably until maybe December for Christmas. We'll see. But we do know that X-Men there will we don't know about Batman Cape Crusader. We do know that there is an X-Men season 3 that has already been produced or is in post production, and that will be coming out next year. So we will definitely be talking about X-Men 97 season 3, and no Onslaught. Again, which I think is a good thing. I think we're going to be focusing even more on what's going on with the mutants and them trying to survive.
Maybe we could just focus on Creed and getting him out as president, and let's just focus on that for a minute because that I think is a big
There's
deal
a
right
lot. There's a lot you can do with that, I think, and we'll see where it goes. Anything else, Brian?
now. Maybe Mystique kills her own son and just takes over as president, and makes everything cool. Who knows? But because in real life that would be dope, but that can't happen. But
We'll see what happens. All right.
yeah,
For Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again next time.